welcome. As board chair Together at Sea, I am honored to officially call this annual meeting to order. So thank you all for being here with us today. It's wonderful to see so many of you. And so whether you're a longtime member or a brand new member or sort of sitting in the middle, thank you for being a part of what makes Together at Sea in South Carolina so special. So you just saw our year in review video, which is very professionally put together and sort of captures all the highlights that we've had in this year. And so if you missed it while you were coming into the waiting room or you kind of caught it in the middle, don't worry. We're going to play it again at the end, and you should be able to find it on social media as well. And so, oh my gosh, I cannot believe how much we have accomplished in this year. And, as your board chair, it's been very, very busy. And so, I mean, it's been hard for me to keep up with this team, this amazing team that has been doing wonderful things with the support of your board of directors. And so none of this could be possible without each one of you. And your support and your feedback and your engagement and your participation is so important. And so you, our members, our partners, our peer network leaders, absolutely. And as I've mentioned before, our dedicated team, together we are building something truly powerful across South Carolina's nonprofit network. And so, what would a Together at Sea meeting be without thanking our sponsors? And so, I want to start off by thanking our visionary sponsors, Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina and the Duke Endowment. Our annual meeting sponsors are Dominion Energy and Grayson Law Firm. Thank you all so much for your support of the South Carolina Nonprofit Network. I'd like to invite Elizabeth Riddle, who's here with us today from Grayson Law Firm, to say a few words. Elizabeth?
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Sean.
Sure.
I work with Clay Grayson at Grayson Law Firm, and Clay really wanted to be here, but he has a big family day today. His twin boys are graduating fifth grade, so it's a proud dad moment for him. But that gave me the opportunity to be here with you all, and I'm so thankful for that. As Sean said, my name is Elizabeth Riddle, and I've been with Grayson Law Firm since its inception. My personal background is in employment law, but we describe our services as being outside general counsel for nonprofit organizations. We almost exclusively represent nonprofit clients, and we've been working with Together SC for a long time. I believe Clay said he's been working for 2 decades with Together SC. And that's because Together SC is the best capacity building engine in the nonprofit sector. They're a wonderful resource for you guys, so you're in the right spot. And the best thing that they do is to help you guys do what you do best, which is serving the people and communities of South Carolina. If you want to learn more about Grayson Law Firm, you can go to graysonfirm.com, GRAYSONFIRM.com. But otherwise, I hope you all have a great meeting. Welcome and thank you for being here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. We have appreciated Clay's support over the years, and thank you all for just supporting the nonprofit sector. Next, we will have a state of the South Carolina State of the Nonprofit Sector report. And so to present that to you today, I'd like to introduce Dr. Sam Cooper and his colleague, Brian Smith, both from the University of South Carolina Upstate. They both reside in the George Dean Johnson Jr. College of Business and Economics, and they're going to share the State of the Nonprofit Sector report. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Cooper and Brian. Thank you so much for being here today.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, we're glad to be here
Morning.
today. Yeah, we're looking forward to sharing a little data with you that we're working on right now. Um, and Brooke, I want to thank you right up front for creating these slides for us. And when I looked at the first slide here, I vaguely recognized that guy that you put there, but that picture's so old that when I look in the mirror now, that's not who I see, unfortunately. But anyway, thank you so much for doing that. Yeah, Maggie, if you'd like, go ahead to the next slide. Yeah, so here in the Center for Business Analytics and Community Research at the Georgetown Johnson College of Business and Economics, our job really is to develop fact-based stories. We look at data, we develop stories out of them. That means if these things are fact-based, we look at what's good and we look at what's bad, and we share those things and we try to be very objective in doing that. So today, I want to share with you some good, maybe some things we want to think about. But the big story here is really, really positive, and that I'm saying that from an objective standpoint. So what are we talking about? Well, we're going to see that part of the good is that nonprofits make up part of the largest sectors in the state. You can translate that into being one of the largest economic engines in the state. And we look at that by standard measures, but we know that the impact of nonprofits can't be fully measured in terms of dollars. So it's really a big impact, and we've got a big story I hope to tell here that you'll find interesting. I want to ask Brian, if you will, Brian, to jump in for a moment and tell us just a little bit about the data here that we're using for this project.
Thank you, Sam. Yeah, so this time we opted to use, because of several things that were changing in the data landscape. We opted to use a data set provided by Giving Tuesday Commons. It is a data initiative. It is backed by major philanthropic and corporate funders such as the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Google, Fidelity Charitable Trustees. A principal goal of Giving Tuesday Data Commons is to bring the power of big data to the nonprofit sector. And one of the types of data they provide access to is they provide a centralized access to comprehensive 990 data sets and tools for accessing and analyzing that data. And their goal is to enhance transparency in the nonprofit sector by making IRS tax filing data more accessible and user friendly. Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, thank you, Brian.
Sure.
Yeah, so Maggie, let's go to the next slide, please, and we will try to work through these slides fairly quickly. So the network is broad, it's statewide. You see that in the title, and that is so true. Not every county has a major manufacturing operation or has great amounts of tourism, but every county has nonprofits. And so what we see is that these organizations are spread all across the state and impacting every county in the state. Currently, the current master file shows that we have just over 32,000 nonprofits registered in South Carolina, with just over 7,800 having filed one of the 990 forms so far for the year of 2023. You can see that there are really three counties that dominate in terms of the number of organizations, and that's Charleston County, Greenville County, and Richland County. We'll have a little more to say about that as we move through the slides. Maggie? Okay, employment. These organizations. So we've got these organizations, they're employing people. And, this is no small number. So far, the 2023 number, and I say so far because these numbers grow a little bit over time as we have late filings that come in. But this is a pretty solid number. Nearly 200,000 people are employed by nonprofits statewide right now. That is nearly 200,000 people that's taking wages home. That's household earnings. I want us to quickly look over at the chart to the right, and you can see that from 2015 up to 2023, we've had rather tremendous growth in the number of employees working for nonprofits statewide. 2015, just over 124,000. In 2023, 194,000. That's a difference of 70,000 in just those 8 years or so. And I think that's an increase, I believe, of about 56%. So that's really remarkable. These are great numbers, and we're probably going to look at that a little bit more as we go through some of the other slides. Maggie? Okay, in terms of the share of employment, 8.1%. Nonprofits employ 8.1% of all of the labor force in South Carolina. So when you think about that, that's really about 1 in 12 jobs is within the nonprofit sector. If you look at the chart to the right, you're going to see that we have since 2015 continually pretty much seen a growth in the share of employment for nonprofits as a percentage of the overall labor force in the state, from 6.2% in 2015 up to 8.4 in 2020 and 8.1 in 2023. So that may look like things are slipping backwards, but not really, not really. As we just saw on the previous slide, the actual number of employees is actually still increasing across the nonprofit sector. The reason that percentage there in 2023 is smaller is that the broader economy grew more rapidly than did nonprofits over this time period. So that made the percentage drop back a little bit, but nonprofits are still moving forward and increasing the amount of employment and the impact across the state. Maggie? Okay. You know, I find this really, really amazing. When you look at our primary sectors, and I'm an economist, and so I spend a lot of time looking at sector size for different regions. And across the state of South Carolina, we see that healthcare, retail trade, manufacturing, accommodation, and food services, these types of sectors are the primary sectors. Now, these do differ by region. If you look at the upstate where I am, manufacturing is the largest. But these are the primary sectors. When we look at the share of employment among major sectors, nonprofit organizations come in fifth across the state. That's rather amazing. So what that really tells us is there's an enormous economic story beyond all of the other stories we can tell about the percentage of employees that work for nonprofits in the state. Fifth, that's rather amazing, I think, and something that we need to really be talking about as a group. Okay, Maggie, if you will, please. Wages paid. In 2023, 9.1 billion in wages. You can see that number has increased rather dramatically since 2015 when the number was 3.8 billion. I've got a note here. If we look at these are nominal numbers. If we look at real wages in 2015, that would be about 4.5 billion rather in 2023 dollars. So we've still had more than a doubling of wages, even after correcting for the nominal change and the inflation change over time. So spending in terms of wages is really growing. This 9.1 billion represents two components primarily: executive salaries and benefits and other wages. The executive salary, contrary to what we sometimes hear, is a very small percentage. It's about 4.5% of that total 9.1 billion, coming in around 400 million. So that's a relatively small amount, with about 95% of all of those wages going to the other workers and nonprofits across the state. So that's a big impact there. And these wages, that's income, and income gets spent. And I hope we have a moment to talk about that on a future slide. Maggie? Okay, here is, we talked about all of the positive, and we really, there is a lot of positive here, but we do seem to see some distributional issues here in the state. If we look at the 7 largest counties, and these 7 counties are all counties that have 250,000 or more population, we see that those counties represent 49%, almost half of the population in the state. The other 39 counties represent the other half of the population. When we look at the number of nonprofits and the infrastructure for nonprofits, however, the distribution is quite uneven. Almost 71% of nonprofit employment occurs in these 7 counties, which means slightly less than 30% occur across the rest of the state. And 74% of wages occur in those 7 counties. And I think those 7 counties possess about 60% of all of the organizations. The thing about it is that these 7 counties, they tend to be large population-wise. These other counties tend to be small or smaller, so you would expect a smaller number of organizations, but the need is not necessarily less in those other counties. So that's an issue to think about and maybe to discuss. Maggie? Okay, nonprofits as a percent of all establishments in the state has generally been increasing across time, up from 4.6% in 2015 up to 6.7% now. So we see that number of actual establishments that are nonprofit growing across time, each of which making an impact in the state. So that's a positive thing, I think, for us here. Again, positive movement. Maggie, please. Okay, across the state in 2023, and again, I'm going to say so far, the data in 2023 indicate over $34 billion in expenditures. That will go up because there will still be some late filings that will be attached to 2023 likely. But that 34.4 billion spending represents a huge economic impact. Spending becomes someone's income. That income is spent again. And so there is a multiplier effect to spending. So the spending that nonprofits are doing to provide programs and services and jobs, the programs that we see in our communities, that's not the end of it. It goes through multiple rounds of spending. So that 34.4 billion is being multiplied into a larger economic impact. For most of the nonprofits that we're looking at in the state, the multiplier is around 2. So we can say that that's probably around $70 billion in spending that is being generated as a result of nonprofits here in the state. Maggie? Okay, this is kind of a summary slide. Some of the things we need to keep in mind as we move through and think about nonprofits, and as you tell the story of nonprofits, over 32,000 nonprofits registered in the state, employing nearly 200,000, 1 in 12 jobs. It's the 5th largest sector by employment in the state. And the spending coming out of nonprofits is around 34.4 million, potentially up to having an impact of maybe close to 70 million. That last point there, though, is the top 7 counties. Top 7 counties have the primary infrastructure for nonprofits, and sometimes the need is still large in communities that have smaller populations, but potentially higher levels of poverty or food insecurity and things of that nature. So that could be a structural issue that needs to be discussed. So it's a positive story. It's a positive story and one that we all need to be telling about the impact of nonprofits across the state.
Okay, so just say if you have questions in the interest of time, please put them in the chat so we can take a look at those as we continue with the annual meeting. And the other big thing I just want to share is that Sam and Brian have been working diligently on this to have this sneak peek ready for us today at our annual membership meeting. But their full report, which is extensive and really is amazing, looking at all the data through 2023, will be released this summer. So look for that on our website later on. But just wanted to thank you both for doing incredible work and being able to share a little peek of this with us today at the annual membership meeting. Thanks.
Glad to be here.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much. And we appreciate the time and effort and the qualifying of the data to ensure that it is relevant and realistic and not made up. And we appreciate you all bringing this information to us, and we look forward to seeing the full report.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you
Great.
both. Now I'd like to introduce Amanda. Amanda Lawrence should be here still with us. Happy that she's able to join us. And she is our governance committee chair. She's going to provide our governance committee report. And Amanda, I'm going to turn it over to you to share some awesome news with our group here today.
Thank you very much, Amanda. So we'll move to the next slide. I'll explain how the Board of Directors election process works. It is a little bit technical. After this meeting, the primary contact at each nonprofit and philanthropic member organization, these are our voting members, the primary contact, who is usually the CEO or the executive director, will receive an email inviting them to cast their ballot for the slate of directors. Each organization may vote only once. Ballots will be accepted from today until June 10th, in 2 weeks, June 10th at 5 p.m. And as of today, there are 836 eligible voting members. So we need at least a quorum of 84 members to participate in order to validate the election. For the slate to be elected, a majority of ballots must be cast in favor of the slate. So if you are the primary contact for your organizational membership, please keep an eye out for that email, and please be sure to cast your vote before June 10th. And then, of course, once the election is over, new directors will join the board on July 1st, 2026. And here are the proposed slate of board directors. Up for a first term is Tremise Carter from the Central Carolina Community Foundation, Nancy Lee from Habitat for Humanity of South Carolina, Donna Waits from the Sisters of Charity Foundation of South Carolina, and Henry Well from the United Way Association of South Carolina. Also up for re-election to a second term are Dawn Dowden from Homes of Hope in Greenville and Andrea Tucker from the United Way of the Midlands. These candidates are nominated for a 3-year term beginning July 1st, 2026 and ending June 30th, 2029. Next slide, please. And of course, we also have our proposed officers for fiscal year 2027. These officers are to be elected by the board, not by the membership, but we do want to let you know that our proposed officers for the coming year will be Andrea Tucker as our chair, Dawn Dowden as our vice chair, Jamie Cooper continuing as our treasurer, and then Dr. Sean Edwards will be moving into the role of immediate past chair. And I will turn the microphone back over to Dr. Edwards.
Thank you, Ben. We also want to thank the board members who are retiring from the board. We have Nicole Eccles with the South Carolina Cancer Alliance, Amanda Lawrence, who you just heard from with HCA Healthcare, and then Stig Rasmussen, who is now with the South Carolina Office of Regulatory Staff. And so we really want to thank and appreciate these folks who have been engaged, given their brain power, their time, their effort, their energy, and all things necessary in order to make sure that your board has been working in for you. And so please join me in thanking these board members for their service. And now I'm going to turn the mic over to Susan DeVinny for our next report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone. It's really great to be with you today and excited to be a part of such a tremendous organization. I want to offer thanks to our staff. Dr. Edwards started by saying we have a hard time keeping up with this team. It's true. And if any year has proven it, it's been this year. We've been busy in I'd say the context in the world where we live, and certainly in the state of South Carolina. My report to you today is coming from the Public Policy Committee. We have completed our first year of service to you. Very proud to serve in the role of chairing that committee in its first year. I'd also like to thank at this time members of the committee who joined me this year. That includes Nicole Eccles, who is retiring from the board, Midas Hampton, and Stig Rasmussen. So very excited to have served with these individuals. What you'll hear about later is the success of our very first public policy agenda year. Boy, what a year. And also just want to let you know that as we head into our new fiscal year beginning the 1st of July, we'll be developing a new public policy agenda for the next 2 years. So as you know, the legislative cycle in South Carolina is 2 years. They are wrapping up their work right now, this month, and we'll be having a set of new House members beginning in January. So it's really important that we are taking a pulse from you, from the sector, to support the residents of the state. And we'll be designing that new public policy agenda. Of course, that will be communicated to you. Really excited to be a part of this organization, and just want to say thank you again to the staff. Our staff, the Public Policy Committee, is staffed very ably by G.P. McClure and Karen Reardon. So again, thank you to everyone for a great first year. You'll hear a little bit more about the results of the public policy work from G.P. later in this meeting. And I'll turn it back to you, Madam Chair.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Susan. I think Jamie is stepping in for us next with our Finance Committee report.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Edwards. Good morning, everyone. We have the audited financials from fiscal year 25, and just want to again, thank the board, thank the finance committee team members, those members that served on the finance committee are Amy Armstrong, Jason Crawley, Dawn Dowden, and Andrea Tucker. So thank you to those board members for their incredible work and diligence throughout the year. And for Karen and her team, the staff do an incredible job, as you'll see, making every penny, every dime, every dollar stretch as far as it possibly can go. So thank you. Thank you all. So if we go to the next slide, and you can see the audited financials from fiscal year 2025, that's July 1st, 24 through June 30th, 25. High level there, you can see revenue by source broken into member dues, grants and contributions, fees, sponsorships, and other revenue sources for a total revenue there of $1,005,026. You can see likewise the expenses by purpose there in management and general expenses, fundraising expenses, and the bulk of those expenses going directly into those program services for a total expense of $1,025,109. You can see the net assets ending 6/30/25, sitting at just shy of 90,000 there, with a change in net assets of 20,000 there. It was an incredible year, an incredibly fiscally responsible year with some change, as you all know, through there with executive change, also going into strategic planning and incurring those expenses in those contexts as well. So a great year from a financial context and picture. And you can see there from Burkett, a clean, unqualified opinion for our audit, receiving the highest recognition for an organization in that audit. So again, great job to the team leading through that year, managing those expenses and revenue along the way. And as always, you can go to the website to view this audit in 990 as well as past years' audits in 990 as well. So thank you all. Dr. Edwards, turn it back to you.
Thank you so much, Jamie. As you all can see, from an advocacy and from a financial perspective, we as in the board and the staff and all of you who are serving in various capacities on committees have been doing a Herculean job of making sure that this organization stays on track. Next up, we will hear from our mighty leader, Karen.
Good morning, everyone. So good to be with you today. Yes, I would say the last year has definitely been a year of momentous change. We had a very, very ambitious plan shortly after I arrived to tackle a strategic plan. I'm happy to say we completed that strategic plan. We've also completed a full operations plan and a full development plan, all with the help of some amazing consultants in our consultant collaborative. All of that is helping us focus our efforts around our three key action items and verbs for our strategic going forward plan, which is to convene, to advocate, and to partner on behalf and with our nonprofits and all the folks in the nonprofit network. This year also had us welcoming Maggie Ortiz, who's on today's call. She is our membership manager, doing a fantastic job, and a not so new face who's been working with the Together SC team for a while, but has officially come on board now as our peer network manager, and that is Heather Singleton. So super happy to have these two talented ladies on our team. As you just heard from Jamie, we're finishing fiscal year last year. We had a clean audit, and we're finishing this fiscal year in a strong way as well, being very responsible and trying to spend those dollars very, very wisely. Also really proud of some of the big projects that we undertook this past year. The first with the College of Charleston Center for Community for Livable Communities was the 2025 Compensation and Benefits Study, which you can still download if you have not seen that. Very important piece of work that will be, I think, a real big companion to the State of the Sector report that Sam and Brian will be finishing and releasing later this summer. GP is going to talk in a moment, but 2 years in a row of sold out summits, 2025 and 2026. So just really thrilled to see the response and the support of the membership and that need to come together for 2.5 days and learn and also just network with each other. We also published Labor of Love, the 5th edition of the Guiding Principles. The Guiding Principles have been with us from the early beginnings of Together SC, but we hadn't issued an edition since 2017, and it was really time for us to refresh and modernize that. And so I want to say a special thanks to Patrick Jinks at Leaders Perspective for this was his baby and he pushed mightily, but there were many, many people who sponsored, who supported, who authored. Can't name them all today, but if you go to Guiding Principles and download it, you will see our thanks for all the many hands that brought their expertise to the Guiding Principles. And again, that's a benefit for every member to download and use that as another Bible for you to refer to often and share, not just with your team, but also with your board of directors. Very proud of our fledgling pilot internship program with Clemson University that just got underway a couple of days ago for this summer term, and looking to do more with Clemson, but also hope to be able to spread that out across the entire amazing South Carolina University system, so that we can provide a pipeline of amazing interns who hopefully some of them will land in as full-time employees for you in the nonprofit sector. We had solid wins for South Carolina nonprofits and advocacy, which I'll leave GP to speak to a little bit more. And we did introduce some new regional workshops. The first one of those was on fundraising with the Winkler Group. Thank you to the whole team at Winkler, especially Jim. And our last one will be coming up. So if you missed the others, you'll see that we're going to be doing these regional workshops on hot topics that are important to you going forward. And so we've got more to unleash as we go into the new year. And then last but not least, we have a new team member who's brand new. She started yesterday. Dr. Heidi Blossom is coming on as our brand new learning programs and events manager. So we're super excited to have Heidi on board. And Heidi, could you hop on for a second and say a few words and introduce yourself?
You know, South Carolina is home to more than 5.5 million people, and behind every one of them is a story, struggles, heartaches, challenges, and hopes and dreams. And every day you work tirelessly to help meet those needs here in South Carolina. But behind every nonprofit, there are also leaders, employees, and volunteers carrying their own challenges while continuing to serve others. And that reality drew me to Together SC. As a nonprofit founder, I have experience in that, and I know, and actually working my entire working life, working in nonprofits, I know the struggles. And so I'm a proud Carolina girl with a doctorate from the University of South Carolina in mass communications, along with experience in education, curriculum development, and also conference leadership. And I feel deeply grateful for the opportunity to support this work and help convene, advocate for, and partner with South Carolina's nonprofit community. But more than anything else, I want you to know this. I'm here to encourage you, I'm here to support you, and I'm here to help connect people, ideas, and opportunities. And I'm here to help you in your organization become even more successful in the incredible work you are already doing here in South Carolina. I truly cannot wait to get to know you, learn about your mission, and partner alongside you. So thank you, Karen, for letting me introduce myself a little bit.
We're delighted to do that. And again, you can see why we're so happy to have Heidi join this high-performing, wonderful team that has so much heart and so much soul dedicated to the nonprofit community. So looking forward to great things from the whole Together SC team, including Heidi. And now I'm going to turn it over to the longest serving member of the Together SC team, Mr. Benjamin Bullock.
Good morning, everyone. As you've heard, our team has some amazing points to make about all that we have accomplished this year and what we've got planned for the coming year. And I don't want to steal their thunder, so it falls to me to talk about some of the inside baseball things that we've got going on in programs and operations. So this past December, we graduated a new class through Carolina Leadership Seminars, which is our 5-part class for new executive directors. If you are a new executive director in your first 5 years in your role, please check out Carolina Leadership Seminars as your next step in your professional development. Applications are open now. And if you're in the Midlands, we do have a few scholarships set aside through the Central Carolina Community Foundation. And also, you've heard that we have a new strategic plan. But every strategic plan needs to be operationalized. So our team has developed an operations plan that takes each point of that strategic plan and brings it down to the nuts and bolts. And we look forward to progressing along that path throughout this year. Earlier this year, we brought on a new way to communicate for you to communicate directly with your Together SC team. If you've been on our website lately, you'll see a blue bubble in the bottom right corner, and you can click that bubble to chat directly with us without the hassle of email. We're using a system called Intercom, and this system centralizes our one-to-one communications with you. So if you email our general email box, membership@togethersc.org, or send us a message through social media, those messages will also be answered through the Intercom system. And so those messages will then route to Maggie. Maggie will filter them out and send them to the rest of the team, and we will get your questions answered as quickly as we can. So I encourage you to take advantage of that blue bubble and talk with us. We're now in year 5 of our association health plan through Blue Cross Blue Shield, and there are plenty of room for more organizations to join the plan. The more folks we have in the plan, the larger the risk pool we make, the better we are able to keep costs manageable. So if you're looking at your options for medical, dental, vision, and ancillary benefits, please reach out to David Slade at Marsh McLennan. He's our broker, and he can work with you to get you a no obligation quote on your health insurance. This year, we've also strengthened a lot of the tools that we've developed to help you with employee recruitment and retention, including our Career Center, our Association Health Plan, retirement plans through Mutual of America, and student loan forgiveness assistance through Savvy, and many more. And of course, as our team grows, we are working and developing stronger internal processes and procedures so that we can better model the guiding principles and work smarter for you. Looking ahead, we know that our greatest source of knowledge and expertise comes from you, our members, and to that end, we will be launching our first ever Speakers Bureau. Many of you have great presentations on topics related to how you run your organizations, presentations that you can probably give in your sleep. So please be on the lookout for the official announcement and application form for the Speakers Bureau. And we are also continually on the lookout for more partnerships to offer you more resources and tools to help you do your work better. And I am always looking for ways to be more efficient in how we use your member dollars. So now I'll turn it over to Maggie Ortiz.
Hello, everyone. My name is Maggie Ortiz. I am the Membership and Development Manager here at Together SC, and I am excited to share a quick membership update. This year, Together SC reached an exciting milestone. We now have more than 1,000 members, and that is something worth celebrating. But this milestone is about much more than a number. It represents nonprofit organizations, leaders, staff, board members, consultants, philanthropic partners, public partners, and community advocates who are choosing to be part of a stronger and more connected statewide network. We want to take a moment to give our 1,000th member, Lead Collective, a special shout out and welcome them to the Together SC network. One of the most helpful ways to look at our membership is through the statewide heat map. It gives us a visual picture of where our members are located across South Carolina. This helps us see where our network is strong, where we are growing, and where we have opportunities to deepen connection. As we look ahead, this kind of data will help guide how we convene regionally, how we support peer learning, and how we better understand the needs of nonprofits in different communities. Membership is also central to how we live out the strategic plan. Through membership, we convene nonprofit leaders in peer networks, learning events, statewide gatherings, and regional conversations. Through membership, we advocate with a stronger collective voice. The more connected we are to organizations across the state, the better we can understand what nonprofits are facing and elevate the needs and impact of the sector. Through membership, we partner by connecting members to tools, benefits, resources, benefits, resources, and relationships that strengthen their organizations. We have also been listening closely to member feedback through surveys, event evaluations, peer network conversations, and direct outreach. You have told us what you want it to be easier to understand your benefits, find the right resources, connect with peers, and know where to go for support. That feedback is shaping the work ahead. The future of membership is about creating clear pathways so every member can quickly understand what is available to them, where they fit, and how to make the most of their network. As our membership grows, our responsibility grows too. We are committed to making membership valuable, accessible, and connected to the daily work of nonprofit leaders across South Carolina. Thank you for being part of the Together SC, or being part of Together SC and part of the Together SC team, and for helping us build a stronger nonprofit sector across the state. And now I will pass the mic to the amazing Brooke.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brooke Robertson, Director of Strategic Communications and Member Experience here at Together SC. And I'm happy to share a brief update on where we're headed with our comms efforts. So as you've heard throughout today's meeting, we are continuing to align our work with the priorities of our strategic plan, convene, partner, and advocate. For communications, that means making Together SC's work clearer, easier to access, and more connected to the needs of the nonprofit sector. This past year, we released the 5th edition of the Guiding Principles, one of Together SC's most important resources. This year, we will highlight practical best practices and help organizations connect those principles to the work you do every day. One big moment ahead for Together SC is our 30th anniversary year. This will be a meaningful opportunity to celebrate the history of this network, recognize the leaders and organizations that helped shape it, and lift up the impact nonprofits have across South Carolina. We're also working on a website refresh. We have started the internal audit to make sure our content is current, accurate, easy to navigate, and clearly connected to the ways members and partners engage with Together SC. Our goal is to make it easier to find resources, understand opportunities, and use the tools available through the network. You may have noticed some changes in your inbox, including the new Convene newsletter, which focuses on upcoming learning events and opportunities to connect. This is part of a broader effort to make our communications more focused, useful, and easier to act on. This past year, we also launched Nonprofits Get It Done, a national storytelling campaign led by the National Council of Nonprofits. South Carolina nonprofits are doing essential work every day, often without enough recognition, and we want to tell those stories and show the public, policymakers, funders, and partners what nonprofit impact really looks like across our state. So we encourage you to share your story with us. Ultimately, our communications goals are simple. Make the resources easier to find, and make the impact of this sector harder to ignore. So thank you all for reading, sharing, responding, and telling your stories. I'm excited about what is ahead. And now I'll pass the mic to GP.
Thank you, Brooke. Good morning, everybody. GP McLeod, Director of Public Policy and Community Engagement. I'm going to cover 2 buckets for you today, our summit and our public policy work. So I hope it's great to see many of you again on camera after seeing you in person at the summit. This past March in Greenville, we had over 700 attendees and sold out our conference, as Karen said, for the 2nd year in a row, even having a bigger space than in 2025. And we'll talk about 2027 in a little bit, but we have even more room for all of you we hope you can join us. Our survey results came back very positive, 4.5 out of 5. One of our strongest summit performances. They've all performed very well, but they've all been around about this 4.5 mark. Next year, we are in Columbia, March 2nd through the 4th at the Columbia Metropolitan Convention Center, with plenty of room, hopefully, for all of you to join us. Our RFP for sessions will open later this summer in June, as well as registration will open this fall. On our next slide, our public policy report. One big piece of news for us is our co-venturer bill became law, was signed into law by the governor with unanimous support across both the House and the Senate, which makes it actually is a bill that makes it easier for businesses to support you, our nonprofits, by essentially allowing percent for sales nights. Think spirit nights at the local ice cream shop, where every dollar goes to, and $1 of every scoop goes to a nonprofit. It eliminates a lot of red tape for those businesses to support your nonprofit, as well as a couple other cleanup language around nonprofit filings that make it clearer for folks who are registering their nonprofit with the Secretary of State's office. We also held our first legislative breakfast, to Ben's memory, almost ever, we think, together SC, with a really good feedback and strong legislative engagement there. We also saw bills like the 211 restructuring bill for the United Way, the United Way's 211 program, pass the House and the Senate, which is one that we helped support. And we saw also a lot of successful defense around bills like the anti-DEI bill, which was in this last 2-year cycle, is no longer an active bill, as well as defeating donor intent legislation that was filed. Other issues that we've tracked, and hopefully you've been reading our weekly updates on, is redistricting, which as of yesterday is no longer a live issue in South Carolina, at least for the rest of this year, for the 2026 midterms, as well as a state budget, which will come back to the State House in June. On the horizon in the public policy world, as our chair, Susan DeVinny, mentioned, we will be looking at our 2-year legislative agenda this over the next few months. We're going to be looking at things like event permitting, which is something we've heard from a lot of members, from event permitting, the earmark process and nonprofits, protecting nonpartisanship, as well as policy-related issues with online giving platforms. But all of this is stuff mostly South Carolina focused, and you'll continue to hear from us on federal policy, leaning on our friends at the National Council of Nonprofits. That's our public policy report in a nutshell for the year. There's a lot that happened, as I'm sure if you've read our weekly updates, you've seen, but these are some of the major highlights. And so we thank you for your voices adding to our sector's impact at the State House and in DC. And Heather, I'll turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, GP. Good morning, everyone. I bring you greetings from the overcast of Columbia, South Carolina, as the new peer network manager. And man, have we had a year. The peer networks span over the entire state, and we have 8 of them. Here's the nitty-gritty about what we've been able to accomplish within the last year. The Black Nonprofit Leaders Group had an amazing collaboration in February with the African American Philanthropy Committee, which is housed at Central Carolina Community Foundation. And that was a very energizing conversation surrounding compensation. The Volunteer Admin Alliance had their first ever CVA study group cohort, and that cohort helped to prepare those who work alongside volunteers to take the CVA exam. So we're really excited to bring that forward in the coming year. And then we had a wonderful volunteer awards day with those folks with the Volunteer Admin Alliance in support of National Volunteer Week and Volunteer Month. We had some inaugural events, some things that were just dreams only a year or so ago that we were able to bring to fruition. So the CEO AD Peer Network had their first ever roundtable, which was sponsored by Colonial Life. The Operations Peer Network had their first symposium, and they had their first connected conversation, which was just, I think, last week or 2 weeks ago. And that was on the operations guiding principles. We have done a lot of great work surrounding the professional development needs. But one of the things that I am very proud of is that last year, in the 25-26 year, we had really intentional convenings at the summit. Peer networks were able to gather and meet each other. We had such infectious energy, and we are looking forward to more gatherings in the coming year's summit. Next slide, please. So we know that we've had an amazing year thus far, and we're looking forward with gratitude and inspiration. Our key objectives for the coming year include having some consistent best practices and frameworks across all of the peer networks, being more intentional with partnering across the networks as well, specifically with those networks that have some sort of overlap. For instance, in a lot of our shops, we have the marketing person and the development person serving as the same individual. So there is some overlap with some of the work that we are putting out, and we want to make sure that we're covering all of the bases when it comes to the network's professional development and networking needs. We're looking to grow partnerships with all of our third-party associations. We are not in competition as capacity builders, but we work to implement some amazing programming across our state to make sure that our nonprofit leaders are successful. That includes with the local Association of Fundraising Professionals chapters, as well as continuing partnerships with AAPC. And finally, we're looking to expand peer network resources and libraries. One of the things that I want to insert here is that we really value your voice, and we value all that you bring to these networks, and we value the resources that we are using at the grassroots level. So we are looking to expound upon those libraries and really create some intentional resources for those who are supported by our peer networks. So upcoming events, these are some in-person events that you can look forward to within the next 6 months or so. And if you're looking for a full list of any of the peer network programming, you of course can toggle on the Together SC website where peer networks are and find your network of choice. Also, here's a secret, guys. You don't have to just belong to one network. So if you are the person who is running point on fundraising and marketing, then you can be a part of both networks. So we hope to see you at some in-person events in the coming months. Advocacy specifically has their boot camp in August and their groundbreaking issues forum in November. The Development Peer Network will host their symposium on Friday, August 28th down in Charleston. Marketing will host their inaugural symposium on crisis communications in September, and we're headed to the Upstate. So Spartanburg, look out for us. And finally, the Volunteer Admin Alliance will host their inaugural symposium, Engage, Inspire, and Retain. We're talking about the life cycle of the volunteer experience. That convening is going to be in October in Columbia. Next slide, please. So you've heard me talk a lot about what we've been able to accomplish thus far and what our plans look like for the future. But before we even step into the future, let's give it up for these amazing leadership team co-chairs who have really put in their blood, sweat, and tears, their time, talent, and treasure to make sure that the peer network programs go off without a hitch and that they are listening to the needs of the network membership. Thank you so much for all that you've done in year 25-26. And for those of you who are rolling over, we look forward to great things in 26-27. And now I will pass it over to our fearless leader, Karen.
Thank you. So Heather just noted a whole bunch of things. And if you take nothing else away from this meeting, hope you see that we are constantly bringing new content, new opportunities for you to join in and to learn, but to also network. So just a few that I wanted to bring to your attention here that are not necessarily peer network specific. So one is in the Midlands, a nonprofit compensation study report. So this is a segment of the full compensation study that the College of Charleston did last fall, but this will hyper focus on the nonprofits in the Midlands. So if that's you, please join us. That's coming up on June 3rd. We also have Membership 101. And the reason I bring this up is all of you on this call today are members, but we keep adding so many new benefits and features and things that are going on that I do think that sometimes it's helpful to have a little refresher. And Maggie, in her new role as membership and development manager, has completely revamped Membership 101. So if you want to make sure that you're getting access and using all of the benefits that we provide, please join us for Membership 101. That's going to be coming up on June 16th, virtually as a Zoom. We also introduced earlier this year Grantlytics, which is an AI powered grant tool that does grant discovery, but also holding all grants together in one place as a grant hub. And we have had several nonprofits that have began using Grantlytics right away when it was introduced in December. And so the webinar coming up on June 18th is going to be specifically some case studies of how some South Carolina nonprofits have been using Grantlytics to find new grants or to find just new opportunities overall to make them more successful. So encourage everyone to join us for that. That too is free of charge. For my fellow CEOs and executive directors, overcoming CEO burnout, which is a very real thing. We're going to be having one of our talented consultants, Jenny Waller, conduct a webinar on June 24th on this topic. So be there or be square. And the last of the 4 fundraising workshops that we have been honored to do with the Winkler Group will be happening in Columbia on June 25th. So if you haven't had a chance to spend some time with Jim Bush and his amazing team and pick up some new tips and tricks and go deeper into the world of fundraising and how you can be more successful, we hope you will join us and register for that. Registration is already open. An exclusive for us, for Together SC members, is going to be a special webinar on the Giving USA 2025 report. Jim Bush, who I just referenced from the Winkler Group, is also very, very in the middle of this eye of the storm, where he sits on the advisory group for Giving USA, and he has graciously suggested and offered to provide a full sort of download and analysis and discussion of those reports. So again, that will be for 2025. The data is just coming out the end of June, and we'll be having that session as a webinar on July 9. A brand new one that's not even on this page is working on a webinar on July 14th. That's going to be about the Big Beautiful Bill and its tax impacts for nonprofit giving, and that is slated for July 14th. And then one of my favorite events of the year is going to be happening right smack in the middle of baseball season. The Fireflies at Segra Park in Columbia. It's called Nonprofits Pack the Park. It's an opportunity to actually earn some dollars for your nonprofit and then come together and come to this baseball game and have some great fellowship. And so we're going to be doing that in the evening of August 25th. Prior to that, we'll be having, once again, the nonprofit peer meetup hosted by our good friends at Central Carolina Community Foundation. And that will be from 3 to 5 prior to the ball game. So you don't have to be a Midlands nonprofit to join us for those. If you want to come and be a part of both of those, you can do that as well. So I hope you get a sense of just how many things we have going on. Always go to the Together SC website and click down on events and see the different things that you can register for. Even if it's free, we ask you to register so we know how many people will be joining the Zoom. And again, we look forward to seeing your smiling face on some upcoming events that we've got going on in June, July, and August. With that, I am going to turn it back over to Madam Chairwoman Sean Edwards. No, I'm sorry. Mr. GP McClear has an announcement. We're going to do that next.
Sounds good. Thank you. This is where I thought I was earlier. Thank you all. As I said, we have our 30th anniversary and our 2027 Nonprofit Summit in March. We're happy today to announce our co-chairs for the summit, Susan DeVinny, who you heard from earlier, and Nicole Eccles, who is retiring off of our board, but we had to keep her involved somehow. So we roped her in to do this with us. But our co-chairs for the 2027 summit are Susan and Nicole, and we look forward to working with them. We try to involve our members in the planning of this summit so that even the sessions are reviewed by members and selected by members. and it is curated by our membership. And so thank you to Susan and Nicole for helping represent the membership. And we'll have additional steering committee members as we get things rolling. But they will play a vital, Susan and Nicole will play a vital role in getting the ball rolling. And we thank them for being on today's call, but and also for co-chairing this momentous summit for us. Again, March 2nd through the 4th next year. Mark your calendars, and we look forward to seeing you again in Columbia. And with that, this is where I turn it over to Keela Glover at Dominion Energy to say a few remarks. Good morning, Keela.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay,
You're good to
good.
go.
Good. Good morning, everyone. It's an honor to be with you here at your annual meeting. As a longtime partner, we are so proud to stand with each of you as you strengthen communities across South Carolina. As you know, here at Dominion Energy, our mission is to provide reliable, affordable, and increasingly clean energy. But we're also committed to investing in organizations like yours that are doing the meaningful, transformational work across the state. I was really excited to be able to join you all at the 2026 Nonprofit Summit this past March. Seeing more than 700 attendees in one place with the same mindset was a powerful reminder of what's possible when we come together. And I hope the energy, the collaboration, and the ideas that came out of that gathering continue to inspire you. I'm also proud to share that through our spring grant cycle here at Dominion Energy, the Dominion Energy Charitable Foundation awarded nearly $1 million to more than 100 South Carolina based nonprofits. These investments are helping to expand access, opportunity, and impact in our communities. Looking ahead, our next grant cycle for the fall will open August 3rd and run through September 11th, with decisions being announced in November. So I encourage all of you to go out to our website if you haven't been out there, and I'll put it in the chat, and for more information and to apply. Most importantly, I just want to say thank you. We're grateful for the work that you do every single day to make South Carolina stronger, more resilient, and more equitable. It's a privilege to be your partner in that work. And I know that together we'll continue to do that work and make an even greater difference. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Keela, and thank you, Dominion Energy, for the continued support of South Carolina's nonprofit network. A lot of nonprofits would not be able to do the work without Dominion support, and so we appreciate you showing up in community in multiple ways. Appreciate you all being here today. Thank you for your service and your dedication to South Carolina. Thank you all for being here and for being a part of South Carolina's nonprofit network. So whether you're a nonprofit or a consultant or someone who provides services to nonprofits, or you are a public entity that supports the nonprofit organizations in South Carolina, we thank you for being here. We thank you for your support. We thank you for helping these nonprofits to continue to do the work that they're doing. And we appreciate the support that you have given to Together as C as we continue to do the work and we continue to move forward and provide and pulling together the South Carolina's nonprofit network. We need your help. We need your feedback. We need your wisdom, and we need your engagement. And so we will continue to provide all of the wonderful events, networking opportunities, and all the things that we discussed today in support of South Carolina's nonprofit network. Lastly, I'd like to thank you all for allowing me to be your chair and for allowing me to show up in multiple ways in support of South Carolina's nonprofit network. My term ends June 30th, so I still got a few more days, but we'll continue to work with the board of Together SC, and we'll continue to support South Carolina's nonprofits through Solutions by Sean Edwards. And so with that, we started out with a really wonderful video of sort of our year-end recap. And we're going to play that again for those of you who may have missed that in the beginning. We're going to show you that again as we close out today, but I call our annual meeting adjourned. Thank you all.
Bye, everybody. Have a great day.